computer record again, get the recording again. Okay. The two things we want to come up with outcomes for you tonight, and that is the assignment, that is a request for quotation, and then we want to go over some of week 3. So I think I want to, you all saw the request for quotation is due next week. Okay, it's 5%, so it's not too much to create too much challenge for you, but it is a rewarding exercise by going through that. So I want to just spend 10 minutes to explain the assignment so you can have more clarity on what you need to do well for that assignment. And then quickly go through week 3. You've watched the videos, so I'll just highlight what the main things you need to know that come out of that. We'll have a look at supplier strategies where you're actually going to do some interactive exercise, and especially that comes out from the China Supplier 1000 study. Okay, sourcing from India, we've covered that. We are over here, where to source. We're moving to week 3 and week 4 of our big framework, which is supply challenges, negotiation, IP week, IP risk and contracting. And you heard a little bit about that with Megla. She was talking about the negotiation challenges. IP risk was much less in India, and contracting. And so she introduced you a little bit about that. And so it'll be interesting when we talk about that for China, what the contrast is going to be like. So here is the big assignment that's due for next week. So where do you start? I would expect you to send out email, contact, email 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 if you have to, suppliers of PPE equipment, and you may only get responses from 1, 2, or 3. So do expect to send out more emails than you expect responses from. That's probably the #1 thing. Then when you're sending out that email, obviously you've already found out who that supplier is. You found them on Alibaba, you found them on Global Sources, or you found them on another platform. So there's a learning process in you actually going to a platform to actually find a supplier. And that's an important outcome I want you to experience, going to actually find a supplier. And finding out whether that supplier is a factory, or are they the agent, or are they a middle person, are they the real factory? And then when you find, maybe you don't know until you actually email them, and then they respond to you to say that, oh, we have this in stock and we can send to you. Maybe they're a middleman or an agent, and then they can supply you, but they're not the factory. What's important for this quotation is that you have some kind of confirmation that it's coming from the factory. Okay, so that means you need to go to one step further and find a factory on Alibaba or Global Sources. How many of you have done this before? Have any of you done this before? Is this the first time? Okay, good. All right, it's important that you remember. Okay, how many of you are studying international marketing? Put your hand up. Okay, this course is global supply chain management, right? So international marketing, you're looking at the market end. Everything is about marketing the product. Everything is about what you say, what you don't say, channels. I could teach you all about marketing if you want, but this course is not about that. This course is about the supply chain. And so it's very, very important. One of the learning outcomes is that you experience going to a supplier platform to experience for yourself to get a quotation from a real supplier. So that's why we're doing this assignment, okay? And it's very exciting because this is an individual assignment, not a group assignment. So that means every one of you will have an individual experience. This is not something where one person in a group does all the work for the other group members. Okay, so you need to probably set aside probably 2 afternoons for this. One afternoon is in the next 72 hours to reach out and start to do your search on the global sources or Alibaba. You just heard Megla say that if you want to get a China supplier, it's more likely you're going to use Alibaba and not global sources, because Alibaba is the main platform coming out of China. But you're not going to get a supplier from India. Megla just told you that in the area of PPE, it's already been requisitioned for supply just in India. However, you might be able to find a supplier in Malaysia or Vietnam or Cambodia or another country, or Indonesia for that matter. Whether you can actually source from those countries, I don't know. But for the most part, it's more likely you'll have more success in China. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, then you need to search Alibaba. So what do you do when you search Alibaba? Then you type in PPE, type in face mask, and you see what pops up. We can do that now very, very quickly. You go to Alibaba and Alibaba, all right, alibaba.com. I do not get a commission. Please be aware. And you type in face mask. Okay, and see what happens. And so now you've got 136,000 responses for face masks. Okay, so where do you start? Do you go to the first 5? No. Do you trust that that first one is a factory? No. You need to get some more information. It says verified. Well, what does that mean? It says verified by TUV Rheinland Group. Oh, what does that mean? Well, TUV Rheinland actually is one of the top German third-party auditors in the world. So if they've been verified by TUV Rheinland, then that might make this company very, very good. All right. So that's a hint that is a good supplier. All right, and this one, verified, SGS Group. That's another major third-party seller. Okay, let's go to another one. Now remember, this is 6 or 7 piece, but your minimum order is 10,000 pieces. The minimum order here is 5,000 pieces. But Neil says 2,000. Well, then you might have to go to a lower end supplier. But this one's not verified. So what are you going to do? You see, immediately I want you to go through and think about, oh, this one, 2,000 pieces, but not verified. But if you go to this one's verified and it's 1,000 pieces, we might be in luck. TUV Rheinland. Oh, we might be in luck. Maybe I should contact them. And so then you need to find out more about that factory. And then you need to get some information. It's been verified by TUV Rheinland. That's good. You need to get evidence of that. Now you've got evidence of the factory. You've got a picture of the factory. And now you need to find, they're in Guangdong. They're private, disposable, KN95. What does that mean? You need to find out about that. KN95 is the N95 equivalent that is equivalent for sale in China. But that is not equivalent for what is needed to sell in USA. Okay. That doesn't mean that doesn't fulfill the assignment request. You can still fulfill the assignment request with a KN95, but you need to know in your assignment what you are sourcing. You don't just say N95 when it's really KN95. So you need to know a little bit more about face masks. That might take you another half an hour searching online to find out, okay, what does KN mean? What does N95 mean? That's part of your assignment. So you need to know the product you're sourcing, and then you can then find, maybe you want to contact this person. You may need to use WeChat to do that. And then there's a picture of the factory. Can you verify the factory? It's been verified for TUV Rhineland. So that's one source of evidence. Is there another bit of evidence that you could get? And so forth. So this is what you need to do for your assignment. And you'll probably need to contact certifications. They haven't got certifications. Main products, disposable medical masks. This is their main products here. And then next you need to find out, you probably need to contact them by email to get a quotation directly from email. And then here's their certification. There's a picture, and you'll probably need to provide that picture in your assignment. Okay. And then that finishes your assignment. But you really need to, not just, your assignment is not complete until you get a direct contact with the supplier confirming that they can supply you 2,000 units for a certain quality of PPE. Is everything clear with that? Do you have any questions?
Hi, Dr. Neil. I have a question.
Can you speak up, please? Yep.
Can you hear?
Yes.
Is it clearer? Okay. I have a question regarding the quotation. Does it have to be like a PDF, like a proper PDF with like their logo and stuff, or can it be like just a reply to my email?
Yes, but you need to have a screen capture of the factory, and just some screen
They have a website.
Yes, screen capture, but you want to screen capture and make sure that they are verified by a certain third party. Okay, so just get some. Okay, if you were actually paying the money yourself, would you just rely on their email? And my answer to you, what would you just rely on their email?
Okay, so the email actually has more than just the email. He attached a lot of PDFs like the certification, as well as like more info regarding the mask and all that.
I just want you to have some sense that you feel comfortable that the factory is the factory that you're buying from, and it's not a scam, and it's not a middleman, it's not an agent. It is what they say on the website. Okay, so first of all, I've taken to a website here. Based on what I've seen here, I need a little bit more assurance that they are the real factory. Okay, I need some more assurance. Okay, it's any supplier can put a lot of things on the website. Okay, so if you can get a copy of their certificate from TUV Rhineland as an attachment email, then that would be great.
It's a Malaysian company.
Yeah, but like I would, from here, I'm thinking, okay, and you can chat with them, contact the supplier, okay, and you just say, could you have a copy of the certificate? That may be one bit of evidence, and I'd be happy. I think that would be sufficient, okay? But here's the point. If you were going to pay the money yourself, would you pay the money based on what you're going to give me in the assignment? Okay. All right. I want you to put yourself in the buyer's shoes. Okay. Would you trust this supplier based on what you see? I would, based on what I've seen now, I think I'm 85% there. But I would like just a little bit more. All right. Okay. What's a little bit more? Contact the supplier. Do they respond to you and give you full details? Like, we can the lead time is now 3 weeks or 2 weeks. I understand that they're very, very busy. But what if they told you, oh, we can ship to you within 3 days or 4 days? I would never believe that. Okay. All right, that's obviously a agent of someone that's already bought inventory and they just want to make a quick sale. Okay. All right, so I want you to be on your guard. What I've shown here, it's very, very fast to get a few quotes. So what I would suggest is maybe you contact 3 or 4 and then go with the one that you think is most, what would you call, the one that you trust the most. Okay, how's that?
Okay.
All right. And just be a little bit more and just be very specific on the exact quality of the mask. Remember, is it N95? Is it KN95? Or is it doesn't have to be that. It could be just a basic mask that's not N95 or not KN95. That's okay. As long as you know that that is what you are buying. Okay. It's all right. It could be a low quality mask, but as long as you know, then that's okay. The worst case is you think you buy an N95, but you don't get an N95. All right. So that's why it may just take, it's very easy to find a supplier, but just, I want you to spend a little bit more time just to verify that you're going to get what you're going to buy. Okay. Is everyone clear with that? Hello? Is everyone good on that?
Yes, it's good.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah. You know, my class, my assignments are not to scare you. My assignments are to, at the end of this semester, you go away with new experience and new knowledge and practical stuff, okay? Not just theory, all right? So that's, I think this is a great opportunity to, and I expect that most of you will get 4 or 5 for this assignment. Okay. All right. So let's keep going. And if you have questions at the end of tonight, or even in the Google Hangouts, you can still ask questions or send me an email. Don't hesitate. I'm here to help you. I want you to have a great experience. And look at that. Like, you've got 130,000 suppliers to go through now. There's no shortage of suppliers. Okay. All right. And I would, you know, this one here, I would contact them and ask them, could I have some more product specifics for sourcing 2,000 minimum order? You know, you're going to ask about lead time. You're going to ask about FOB, which port. Remember, there's all different questions you need to ask. Like, what if they said EXW and FOB? There's a big difference between the two, right? Do you know what EXW means? Emma, do you know what EXW?
X works from factory.
Yeah, that means you have to go to the factory yourself and get the mask.
Yes.
All right. So you're in Malaysia now. Do you think you're going to go to the factory and get the mask yourself? All right.
You have to get the logistics.
Exactly. And you have to organize everything. So, all right. So it's not just, oh, this is great. Oh, what does 0.8, what does 0.078 mean? Is that FOB? Is that EXW? What does that mean? We don't know. You've got to ask the questions, right? All right. So what I suggest is you can watch part of the video by Mike Bellamy. Remember the video that he posted? Now, the video goes for 45 minutes, so you don't have to watch all of it. But for part of it, he talks about request for quotation. So I recommend that you can skip forward and just go through where he talks about request for quotation. And I made, what did I make? Very, very quickly. I made, and I'm just opening up my Explorer. That's why I'm talking. I've got so many documents here. I don't want to blind you with science, but here is what you need to, this is, okay. what Mike talks about for 45 minutes are step 1 to step 9, but probably what's important is to maybe listen to when he talks about step number 6. That's all. You don't need to watch everything, okay? All right, step number 6, these are all the different things that you may need to think about, okay? So step number 6, you could read about it if you don't want to watch the video. You go to step number 6 where he talks about it in a little bit more detail, and there you have it here, okay? Standard. Now, remember, like, this is, you don't have to cover everything here, but for those 2 pages, he talks about what he does on a formal request for quotation. Okay, so there's just 2 pages out of the 45 minutes. All right, and that document is in Moodle. Okay, and I'm not asking you to spend 45 minutes to watch the whole video, but you could just watch the part where he talks about that. Okay, I'm here to save your time. I don't want to waste your video time watching endless videos of me and Mike talk all the time. Okay, so be focused, be outcome focused. Your big outcome for the next week is to get that request for quotation, and I want you to have a personal feeling that that supplier is the real factory. And if I pay the money, I know that I'm going to get the mask in 1 week, 2 weeks, or 3 weeks, and I know that I'm going to get it delivered to Malaysia or to China or Indonesia, or one of you are in Mauritius or Maldives, delivered there. Okay, so you can have it delivered wherever you like, it's fine. I think what's important, yeah, all right, so we'll go, let me go there, and let's move on to some of the content for this week, and more questions we can go with that. So what am I going to do now is I'm quickly overview of the supply challenges, and oh, it's now 8:51. Let's have a, yeah, we've had a disruption. What I'm going to do is I'll go for 15 minutes, and then we'll have another break, and then when we come back we'll do some interactive work. Okay, sound like a plan? Okay, good, great. Mind of your supplier. Why do I talk about this? Now, okay, maybe this is an example of mind of your Chinese supplier, but it's still the mind of your supplier. And you can apply it to many suppliers in developing countries. I'll often, when I talk about the situation, sometimes suppliers will represent themselves as, well, I can do everything. And you'll find out more about that in week 6 when we talk about the startups that have had lots of trouble they've raised lots of money crowdfunding on Kickstarter. By the way, that is an area you can do your big project on, Kickstarter. But they had trouble in actually manufacturing the product once. People have pledged hundreds of thousands of US dollars to the startup, and now the startup now has to make the product, and now they have trouble in finding the supplier to make the product. And they go to a supplier like this, and then they find, yes, I can do one-stop service, but in the end, it's misrepresenting, because what they're saying is, yes, we can do all this, but basically they're a whole network. They'll actually outsource different services, but you don't know. And you don't know if they're going to outsource your IP. You don't know they're going to do things that you are not expecting. And so that's the big point of this slide. And that's why in week 7, 8, and 9, when we talk about the big buyers, we talk about HTC, we talk about Apple, they have hundreds and hundreds of their own employed engineers on the ground in China monitoring the suppliers. Any one time, Apple has over 600 engineers on the ground. We're not talking about Foxconn, we're talking about paid engineers on the ground around China, and they'll go to the supplier and monitor them. More about that in week 9. Okay, what you also see in what suppliers can do, you go to Alibaba, they they may have PCB boards that you're shipping from, but also at the same time, they actually have a little orphan product like this green tester. And that's something that commonly they'll create a product because they think, oh, it's the next fancy thing to do. They'll create a product like this product down here, even though they're an OEM, even they are a PCB component supplier to assembly factory, they'll also make their own product because they think, oh, this is the next hottest thing, we'll make this set-top box. This is the next hottest thing, they'll make this green tester, even though their major core technology, their major core competence is actually making PCB boards. And this is the difference between a China supplier and a proper supplier, maybe in the US or developing country, where a proper professional supplier will actually focus on making the best product in the world. And if this supplier was to go into green tests, and if they were to be a genuine supplier, they would actually make green test Mark 1 in year 2016 when I visited them. Then the next year they'll have green test Mark 2. In the next year, they'll have green test Mark 3 and then green test Mark 4. They'll be focusing on making the best product in the world. Most Chinese suppliers are not in that business. That's a special strategy. That is what you'll find in the West, and that's what Apple is all about. They're all about making the best product better, then better, then better. Most Chinese suppliers don't do that. They will come up with a product, and the current product, as I said 2 weeks ago, that is current very popularity is the PPE, and that is the face mask. That's why I'm telling you, when you're sourcing face masks, be very, very careful about the factory you are sourcing from. Okay, here's an example of a launch, and it's very, very important. This actually happened to a client of a friend of mine in China Manufacturing Consultants. So my friend told me about their clients. They had a brand name, a margin opportunity. They actually sold on over 60,000 units on Kickstarter, pre-sold by August 2014. All right. And so that's for delivery by Christmas. And we're talking about what is the product? It's like a security camera. So then you can pick up your iPhone like this, and then you have an app, and you open up the app, and then you can see what the security camera sees, and you move the app around and the security camera moves around. Okay, you know you can buy these a dime a dozen these days. It's 2020. But what happened was they needed to ship in October to get ready for the Christmas 2014. And the security device was customized. It was complicated. And so guess who they went to? They went to an OEM manufacturer in China. And that OEM manufacturer already was a famous OEM manufacturer because they were making a famous product that was already shipped and was famous around the world. And what was very important about this product, and I'll tell you about that product in a minute, they promised to this buyer that they had critical component suppliers that they could access. And they promised that we had good people. They had managers, the buyer had managers in the factory constantly, and they thought that nothing could go wrong. And they finally shipped in 2015, which was October. That was 6 months later. They missed the Christmas. They lost a lot of their pre-sales by August 2014. They had to provide refunds. They lost a lot of money. And this is a home security camera. The firmware development. Remember, what is firmware? Firmware is actually the software that goes, it's for the software that goes into the device that actually helps to connect with the software that is in the app. Many of the sub-suppliers were late in delivering parts. The job situations in the factory weren't quite ready. The factory made this famous product, so the buyer thought they could really rely on them, and they thought, don't worry, we will have the line ready for you by tomorrow morning. But we are launching tomorrow morning. We should have the line ready 4 or 5 weeks earlier so they could practice, do a run at weight. And they just grabbed people from the GoPro line and inspected them to do work. Guess what? They had component issues. The prototype versus production was a separate thing. It's easy to make the perfect prototype, but it was difficult to make run at rate. Okay, in manufacturing, remember, this is a sourcing course. You need to understand run at rate. What does that mean? Run at rate is actually, okay, let's start the actual production run. What would day one look like on the production run? And this is what Apple does with all of its suppliers for new components, new component assembly. They start day one, okay, let's do a practice for a whole day. And we expect problems to happen during that day. And that's where we actually tweak things, we fix things. And that whole day is like a sample run. That's what we call run at rate. We expect to make 2,000 units today. Let's start at 9 o'clock in the morning and let's go to 5 o'clock in the afternoon and see what happens. Ah, wow. What? You mean factories do that just for practice? Yes, you have to do that for the big buyers, and they didn't do this for this buyer. Okay, testing equipment wasn't properly set up for day one. Later on, the run at rate to test of 50 boards, 39 of them didn't work. 39 out of 50. Wow, amazing. The paint supplier could only make 100 per day, but the buyer wanted 1,100 per day. Wow, a bit late to find out that the paint supplier is the major bottleneck. Wow, all of these things can go wrong. Okay, so here's, by the way, did I give you a hint that this factory was making for a major camera line? What was the hint? What was the major product they were making already?
GoPro, is it?
Yeah, GoPro, you got it. Like I gave you the hint, GoPro, all right? Now, you all know GoPro is a good product, right? Famous. So I want you to think, okay, this is the factory. I want you to remember, we were just on Alibaba before. Okay, just think, you go to Alibaba and they say, oh, we make GoPro, trust us. Okay, do you think that's enough to trust the factory to make the product for you? Okay, no, you've got to do more than just trust the fact that, oh, we already make GoPro, therefore we should be able to make your product. No, you need to do so many more things to make sure that that supplier is going to focus on the product that you're going to make. Ah, that's the big takeaway you need to think about with regard to this example. Now, the consultants, when they went in, had this following checklist. Do you have specialized components sent to your factory? People want to talk about price and quality, but you've got to focus on cost and quality. Why do we focus on cost? We're going to talk more about this in the coming weeks, especially next week. Why? Because maybe that's a question that you ask the PPE supplier out of your interest, okay? You ask the supplier, oh, they can give you a best price, but really, next week, you're going to learn, and you don't have to do this for your request for quotation, but next week you're going to learn that an important negotiation strategy is not just to think about the price. An important part of your strategy is to talk about cost and quality. Because if you bargain too much on price, then you have that China competitive manufacturing model. What happens? What did you learn from my video from that China competitive manufacturing model? What did you learn? Hello?
They will focus on the price, so they might cut corners because they will think that you really put emphasis on the price itself.
Absolutely. It's just like you've got a balloon. You push on one side, then the balloon expands on another side. Okay? The balloon is not going to get smaller when you push on one side of a balloon. Okay? It's going to expand in other places. So never ever just talk about price. That's what you're going to learn next week. All right? For your request for quotation, the most important thing is that you know you're going to get it from the factory. All right. So I want you to experience the learning, and I'm not expecting perfection from you with your request for quotation assignment. Okay. All right. It's not about perfection. It's about learning. I want you to learn. I want you to make some mistakes. And in the process, your learning is very, very important. Okay. All right. So the focus should be on cost and quality. And so if you're learning to look at the price, then you're making one big mistake. You're only going to, and when you consider the total cost of bringing a product into your door, then you might not buy it in the first place. Because in the end, the supplier is going to cut corners and make sure that they get the money back in another way. Most buyers know tier 1 suppliers, but how many of you know your tier 2 suppliers? Now, this may not be as critical for PPE. Actually, if you were sourcing 10,000 units, 20,000 units, 100,000 units PPE, you would probably need to go into more detail to understand where are they getting the melt blown material. By the way, the melt blown material is the middle material that goes into every face mask. Without that, the face mask doesn't really operate. Okay, you're going to learn about that. I want you to learn about that. Don't just base on what I tell you. I want you to check for yourself. And that's a question you may ask. That's a question you may ask your supplier, okay? Where are they getting the material from? Because at the moment, that's in short supply in China, around the world, okay? You need about 1 ton of melt-blown mask material to make 750,000 masks. And very few factories in China have 1 ton of melt blown material. Okay, so if they can tell you they can supply you 100,000 masks, they need to have a lot of melt blown material. Okay, all right. I'm throwing a lot at you, but this is from different areas. I'm doing this to make you more curious about this assignment. Okay, I deliberately you're probably thinking right at the start, oh, sourcing masks, oh, it's so easy. And you go to Alibaba, wow, 130,000 suppliers. Oh, this is so easy. But as you dig and dig and dig into information, you're going to find it gets a little bit more complicated. And I want you to uncover that puzzle. And through that, then that's a great learning experience for you. And then next week you can share your experience. Okay. All right. Good. All right. So that leaves us at, I asked you for 15 minutes. We're going to have a break for, let's make 8 minutes now, have an 8-minute break, come back, and we go quickly into the supply model. And then I'm going to give you an interactive session. Okay. Thank you. And I'll see you in 8 minutes. Thank you. we back? We're back with vengeance. Let's move my camera. Okay, let me share the screen. Okay, just what I'm doing now. Okay, this is the video that was already posted in Moodle for you to watch. So you would have watched this, and these are the two big notes that I wanted you to take away, that the biostrategic approach that I talk about can apply to suppliers in any country, not just Chinese suppliers, and that some Chinese behavior issues can also apply to suppliers in other developing countries. And so when we talk about, if the big idea to come from this first video is we are expanding the focus on the transaction price between you, the buyer, and the supplier. And if you ask any multinationals, SMEs, and major procurement groups of multinationals, they say we need to expand the actual dialogue to talk about other aspects of the transaction, exactly what I just said in the session before, and that is to focus on all the non-price issues and to focus much more on the joint value creation issues. And that's the big idea I want you to take away from video number 10. It's called video number 10 because that's in the Udemy China Sourcing Academy course, but that is the exact video that is in Moodle for you to watch and in YouTube playlist. And I talked about these issues about broadening the perspective of strategic engagement beyond the price. Do you remember what was the example? What does this example mean to you? Did anyone see the example? What was the big idea? Hello?
That they use the same parts from the same manufacturer.
Exactly. So this is not just China. It could happen anywhere, but this is the exact, because my friend worked for Volkswagen and then they brought the Cherry QQ in, they dismantled it and found that the part name on the axle was exactly the same as the part name used for the GM Chevrolet Spark. And the Cherry QQ manufacturer went to the supplier of the GM and said, can you do an extra run? I just pay you marginal costs. And then basically they got the parts out the back door for cheaper than what GM was paying. And, you know, these things may not happen as much now, but I just want to show you that, you know, these are issues that even multinationals have challenges with in working with suppliers from developing countries. Okay. And then I talked about that in the video, and this is probably, now we get into the theory section, thinking about, well, how could you classify suppliers? Well, some of them just want to get paid, whereas other suppliers, they want to learn, others are legitimizers, and others world-class. What do we mean by legitimizer? Oh, I've spoken to many, many suppliers where they say, oh, I just want to get this contract to be approved supplier with Apple and or with Walmart, and I won't make money on this, but when I go and market myself to other buyers in other countries and I say, oh, I'm an Apple approved supplier, I'm a Walmart approved supplier, then I can actually make money by selling being an approved supplier to other buyers. Ah, wow, do they do that? Yes, they do. They do. And I've been to suppliers where they're looking for ideas, they're happy to lose money on a contract with an overseas buyer, because then they use that design to sell domestically. Okay. And then, but then other suppliers, they want to work with international customers. Why? Because they know they're going to get paid. And then other suppliers, well, your perfect supplier is one that wants to be world-class. That is, they want to improve and they want to make a better product. They want to make that food tested product Mark 1 in 2014, Mark 2 in 2015, Mark 3 next year, Mark 4 the next year. Very few suppliers are like that, but that's your perfect supplier you're looking for. But most of the suppliers I have run into are the 1, 2, and 3 variety. All right, someone asked about theory last week. Here is your first big theory that you want to take away that summarizes a lot of the experience I have had, and actually summarizes some of the issues that Megla was talking about in sourcing from India. That is, often over time, when foreign entrants come into a country, a developing country, or when there's foreign customers, they just put pressure on suppliers to manage down costs. And the big mistake that foreign buyers make is to just negotiate on price. And if, without thinking, oh, Mr. and Miss Supplier, how can I help you to manage down your costs? Like, that's the biggest challenge, is cost pressure from foreign customers, basically competition, foreign entrants. And this is cost pressure in terms of, well, the factory workers, they work at my domestic factory for 1 year, and then they suddenly get a job working for a Nike factory. They get a job like in India. They get a job for working with a Apple factory. They get a job working with a VF Corp jeans manufacturing factory in China. Why? Because the foreign factory give better conditions of work for the workers than the local factory does, you see. And so if I want to keep my workers over time, then I need to improve my conditions of work. And then that costs me money. It costs me more money. I need to do more training. I need to do more non-wage things for the workers. I need to have better dormitory conditions. I need to have better meals. I need to have a better sanitary environment for the workers. Why? Because they'll go to a foreign factory instead. So that's what we mean by foreign entrants putting training costs pressure on suppliers. They also put product development market pressure on suppliers. I need to do more marketing and brand development of my product because the foreign entrants are already doing that domestically. I need to improve my products domestically. And so everything just puts cost pressure on the supplier. So if you are aware of that as a buyer, then next week, I teach you under negotiation how you can work with the supplier to help them manage down their costs. And you help, when you see this market framework, then you understand negotiation in a developing economy from a better perspective. This is not negotiation from the Harvard Business School. If you go to negotiation course in Harvard Business School, they talk about BARTNER. Do you know what BARTNER means? That means best alternative to a negotiated agreement. And it's all about power. It's all about having alternatives. It's all about having the upper hand. And it's all about winning at all costs. Okay? That doesn't work in supply chains, whether you're an SME or whether you're a multinational. And it doesn't work because of this framework. And this framework I want you to think about that video when I talk about this framework, that If you just put pressure down here, you're going to get copying, you're going to get outsourcing without telling you, they're going to have cheaper labor, or they're going to do some shortcut on the process. And you're not going to know about it until it's too late. Exactly what happened with the security camera. So what we're going to do is, yes, there's evidence from the publication to support that the suppliers will do this, and there's evidence, and I'll talk about that in the video. So what we're going to do now is, what I'm going to do now, we're going to have an interactive exercise, because I want you to see for yourself what I found out when I talked to thousands of suppliers. I'm going to show you. We're going to look at that, supplier challenges. So we're going to go into groups. Now you can download this from Moodle. So can you access week 3B from Moodle? Have you got that access to the PDF? Yes or no? Yes? Okay, so you're going to go into groups, and this time I'm going to give you 10 minutes. Now in your group, you have to look through and come back to me. 2 questions. What are the biggest challenges facing suppliers? And number 2, how are the suppliers responding to the challenge? And is that different across industry, or is that the same? Are they responding differently to different challenges, or is it the same response all the time? Is that clear? All right, I want you to see for yourself, rather than just listen to my theoretical framework, because this is, remember, this framework I came up with, I wrote about in my AOS publication in 2011. That's nearly 10 years ago. All right. What I'm going to show you data now is data I got from suppliers in 2015, 2016. So have a look at that. I want you to see for yourself. What are the biggest challenges suppliers are facing? How are they responding? And are they responding differently to different challenges? Okay. All right. I'll give you 10 minutes in your groups. Let's see how many we can have. We're sharing there. Let me stop sharing. I'm going to have groups, breakout rooms. How many do we have? We have 33. I'm going to create, I'll create 7 breakout rooms. So there's 4 to 5 in a room. Are you happy with that? Okay, 10 minutes, and come back before 10 minutes if you can. Let's see how good you are. Okay, let's make it 9 minutes. 9 minutes. I want you to be aware of the time. You ready? Go. All good, Abby, Nilam, Paul, Saline. Hi, Ginny, are you there?
Yes, Professor, yes. Oh, sir, there's one guy, he said he just enrolled today, and he's...
Correct. I asked him to talk to you.
The group for me. Yeah.
I understand.
All right. But I am...
What you,
Is there any way I can get the link?
the link to the Google Doc?
Google.
Yes, I can do that.
It's Elaine. Do you mind to actually post the question again? We kind of lost the question.
You lost the
Sorry.
question. Oh, I'm such a bad teacher.
No. The line is pretty bad today. So I have been busy for a few times already.
Oh, you're very nice. You're making a good excuse for me. I appreciate
I
that.
dropped out a few times already, so
Wait a
it's
minute.
like, oh my God.
Let's okay. Number one question is, okay, what are the biggest challenges that suppliers are facing? Okay, and
Okay.
what are their responses to those challenges?
Okay.
And are they responding differently to those different challenges?
Okay. So as it can be like, if let's say we want to quote example, it can be any supplier from any countries, right?
Well, you need to have a look at the graphs
The graphs, right? Okay.
in part 3B. You
3B,
need to-
that I got that one.
And
Okay.
just pay attention. Is it which industry? Just have a look at. I want you to observe the patterns. What do you see? What commonality do you see, and what differences do you see in the challenges and the responses? Okay.
Okay. Got it. Thank you. See you in a bit.
Okay.
Hello.
Paul. Yes.
I just enter because when you set up the breakup room, I log out automatically.
You need to join the breakout room, Paul.
I don't even have. I don't know.
I was.
Yeah.
Ginny, can we do that?
Yes, sir.
Neil,
Yes.
I'm so sorry. Just now when you sent us to the breakout room and my Zoom crashed.
Me too.
I just reconnect back.
Okay. So let me just have a look. Okay, I'm assigning you now. Okay, don't forget, get in there and participate, okay? Paul, get in there and participate. Good luck. You're assigned now. Okay, Ginny. Ginny, you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, number one.
Yes, I am.
Let me just write down things to do. Let me just, we've got 6 minutes and counting, right? So we'll go to 9:40. All right. Let's have a look. Okay. Student feedback. Where's their groups? Aren't you in this, Ginny? Yes or no?
Yes.
Are you in this group? Yes
Yeah.
or no? Are you in the Google Sheet group membership? Yes or no? I've just sent you a message. Okay, so please make sure you're in. Okay, what's your question?
My question, which are competition and cost control, based on across industries, based on the visualization.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so we know it's okay. Good.
And based on the data given as well, like the statistics.
Right.
Competition and cost control. These are the mainly two ones. I mean, there are the miscellaneous one, poor economy and financial crisis comes later. But the main ones that runs across industry and which are repeating over and over again are definitely competition and cost control.
Okay. All right. And someone else? Someone from group 2. Do you know which number group you're in? Do you know which number group you're in?
From group 4.
Hi, admin. So tell me, how did they respond to this competition cost control, or what did you come up with?
Yeah, one thing is evident that the data from 2015 is solely from electronics, and whereas from 2016 comes from multiple products, namely fashion, toys, and games, and baby products. And one thing that is like different in 2015, technology, of course, like it is of importance when it comes to challenges that are faced by supplies, whereas for 2016 is the poor economy. So yeah, I think it's quite straightforward. After what comes after competition and cost control is technology when it comes to electronics industry. And yeah, for 2016, there's nothing to do with electronics, perhaps because of the list of industries, and
Right.
yeah, it has to do with poor economy.
Okay.
But
okay.
yeah, they're responding quite the same, which is by doing the improvement in terms of marketing and management. For example, like competition, like they want to advertise like something different from the competition, from the competitors, and improving in terms of management and doing like making their quality like better.
Okay. All right. So what about, but what is their response to cost control? Like, no, I just want you to picture this. I gave you a theoretical framework 20 minutes ago, and I said, all right, foreigners put pressure on because they come into the country, they put pressure on in terms of costs down, and then they got cost pressure, and then they've got these responses to the cost pressure. All right. So that was 10 years ago. And then, we've got this data here to show, okay, so what's the biggest challenge? And then we've got number one challenge here. All right. So I want to ask you, do you think this is because they're B2B suppliers or B2C? Like, what's
B2B?
How do you think, all right, what about what's the dominant response to competition here?
Strategy and marketing, right?
Okay. Is it?
I think I'm can't really see the slide. Sorry.
You can't see the slides.
No, wait, no, I'm on my phone. That's why my computer application is not working. So
I'm sorry, George. You're very innovative there. All right.
Yeah, response to competition, strategy and marketing. Yeah.
Okay, but
and management. They have the same value.
All right.
Change of product design, product differentiation. So,
okay. All right. And then let's have a look. Let's go. That's 607 suppliers from, and so what are they making? Smartphone, home appliances, accessories, cables, audio equipment. That's 607. And like, that's the detail, that's their responses. Like, that's amplified for you, George. Okay. All right. All right. So I just want you to see that response to competition. 24 out of 170 said, we're going to improve quality. Okay. Cost control. Out of 95. All right. 12 out of 95 said, cost is our pressure. We need to control costs. All right. Can you imagine? Yeah. All right. I want you, class, I want you to think, all right, if competition's your pressure, and then, as a result of this, we change product design. Okay. Or let's make more products, or, let's develop better relationships, or no solution? Here's the question. Let's ask Sharon. Sharon, are you here? I want you to get into this because there's more in it than what you think. Hello, Sharon. Martha. Martha, are you with us?
Yes.
Ah, okay. So do you think all of these responses are the same?
No.
Let me ask another way. And which group are you with, Martha?
Group 2.
Group 2. Okay. Group 2 members better help. Okay. There are 5 general responses here, right? That is relationship, no solution, management, scale, strategic marketing. Are you with me here? All right. Here's my general question. All right. Would you consider all of these responses to be equal? Are they equally preferable to you as a buyer? If you are sourcing from a supplier that's under pressure from competition or cost control, cost pressure, competition, which all of them are, would you prefer that a supplier has a particular response, or it doesn't matter? Put your thumb up if you think it should be a particular response. Put your hand up if you think it doesn't matter. Hello? Thumb up if you think it should be particular. In other words, those 5 responses are not equal. They're not all the same. They tell us different things about a supplier. Put your hand up if you think they're equal. It doesn't matter.
Sorry, are you just asking this to group 2 or like everyone?
Well, everyone now, put your thumb up. Joey, I'm trying to get some oxygen in this room. We need to do some aerobics here, okay? All right, do I have to jump up? Okay, come on. Okay, let's wake up here, all right? Question, thumb up if you think they're all different. So if you believe that they're all different, most of you put your thumb up. I'm going to ask group by group. Group 2, which one is the preferred response that you would like to have from your supplier?
I'm from group 2, so I'll just answer it.
Group 2,
yes.
yes.
Yeah, I'm from group 2, yep. As a buyer, I would prefer for the company to improve their quality.
Wait a minute. So which is the response? Is it no solution? Is it the relationship? Is it management? Is it scale economy, or is it strategic marketing?
Management.
Group
2.
Group 2, which one?
Yeah, management.
Okay.
Quality.
Okay, management. What about group 2? What do you prefer?
We're group 2.
Martha. Oh, Joey, you're group 2, are you?
Yeah.
Okay, group 1. Group 1?
I'm from group 1.
Okay, you got multiple choice here. Remember, we have multiple choice quiz middle of the semester. So which one?
Actually, we have the same opinion as group 2 as well, improving quality, because across industry.
So you believe management is more important than these other responses?
We believe so because according to the data, it says so.
Well, wait a minute, what do you mean according to data? The data doesn't mean anything compared to, if you're the buyer, I'm asking you as the buyer, what do you prefer, not what the data says?
I mean, yeah, improving quality because I'm paying for the quality.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, group 3. Where's group 3?
Oh, we here. I think we will go with, again, management, improving quality, and also strategic marketing, the marketing part.
Well, no. You can't have
Only pick
two.
one.
Oh, you can't have
Pick
two.
one.
All right, fine. Then management, I mean, improving quality, I guess.
Okay. Group 4.
I would prefer with no solution. So I'm assuming that they don't have any idea what they're doing. So we can teach them in terms of like responding to challenges, perhaps.
Okay. All right. Group 5.
I'm from Group 5 actually.
Yes.
We will go with good management instead of strategic or marketing because we believe we could work together with the supplier and work on the strategy.
Okay. Group 6.
I guess Group 6 will go with change in product design because actually product differentiation because this one is electronic, right? Electronic industry. So I mean like we have to be able to like be different, and then to be more competitive by doing that.
Yeah. Okay. Mr. Aguirre. All right. I hear what you're saying. All right. But if you're the buyer, what would you prefer your supplier response to be?
Oh, okay.
Do you change your mind now?
So it's like what I want the supplier to be.
Yes.
Well, okay, I guess I would like them to be more streamlined. I mean, like more efficient. So yeah, management, they have to change the management.
Okay, so you change your response. Group 6. Group 6. Where are you?
Group 6. I was Group 6, sir.
Group 7. Quick. Time's running out.
Yeah, I think we'll probably pick management as well.
Okay. So, all right. So, are we learning something here, class?
Sorry, Neil, but you would
Jason.
also but it will also like depends on what you're buying for, right? If like, let's say if you're buying, then you're selling to the consumer straight away, then you would want to go for product differentiation, no?
No, this is the supplier's response to the pressure that foreigners, cost pressure from buyers put on suppliers. Okay. Jason?
Okay.
All right.
Yeah,
but you're arguing, you'd prefer if the supplier was innovative and creative, but they don't care about the quality.
No, as in like if I were the buyer, then what am I buying for? Like, am I buying to sell to the consumer? Are my customers the consumers straight away, or are they like other like?
Are we supposed to be the consumer? Like think as the
end user or the reseller?
Yeah. You're the customer or the supplier, so you got to dictate how. Like, I'm just giving you a preference here. Do you really? Number one, let's see, what are we doing here? All right, let's be very clear. All right, so I've gone and talked to thousands of suppliers. All right, and I asked them, what is your biggest challenge? Okay, and what on average, it's always something to do with competition, right? Cost control. Okay, it's half the suppliers always saying that. All right, it doesn't matter. We can go to 2016. Okay, and this is fashion suppliers. What do they say? Competition, cost control. Again, this is not just electronics we're talking about here. Okay, and we can go in a little bit more detail on fashion suppliers. There you have your 5 elements again. I can ask you: management, scale economies, strategic marketing, no solution, or relationship. Okay, so which one do you want these supplier? Which suppliers would you choose? Okay, so generally, what are you telling me? Look at this. This is toys and games. Competition, cost control, poor economy, right? Competition, cost control again, all right? What is their response? Not all of them. How many are doing management? Out of 18 that feel cost is a pressure, only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are saying, we need to improve what we're doing. Okay. Competition, only 3, 5, 6, 7, 8 out of 23. All right. Why do you say management? All right. Here's a theoretical question now. Who would like to answer that? Why did most of you choose management like you did here? Let me just, there you chose management. Why do you prefer that your supplier responds to all these pressures in the area of, oh, we've got to fix our own house?
Because we want our supplier to have a certain standard that maybe close to the, like, I mean, if we are from a Western country, that closer to the Western counterparts.
Okay, all right. That's good. Anyone else? Okay, over time, do costs go up or do costs go down?
Go up.
Labor costs are always going up. All right, we know that some electronic components get cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, but that's, just a small part. But the big cost for suppliers is labor costs. Water costs, do they go up or down? Electricity costs, do they go up or down? All right, so if you've got a supplier that says, we don't need to worry about cost control, let's just keep on changing our product design. Let's just keep on changing things. But we have inefficient process. Do you think that supply is going to be sustainable in the long run?
No.
All right, that's the big idea I want you to take away tonight. I showed you the competitive market model is to get you thinking. It's to get you thinking about the supplier's mind before you think about what's in your mind. You with me here? Okay. And what is this data showing you? The data is showing you that most suppliers don't have the mind that you want them to have. All right. Because most of them are not responding by, we need to improve our own operations. We need to improve our own quality. We need to, most of them are saying, let's just develop a better relationship. Let's increase volume. Let's change product design. In other words, they are avoiding the long-term challenges of being sustainable. This is sustainability. Class, you're all buyers. I'm talking to all of you as buyers now. You're all buyers. Do you just want a one-shot deal? I'm asking you now. Do you go into sourcing to buy from a supplier only once? Or do you go into sourcing hoping that you can buy with a supplier over a long period of time? Which is it? Which is the approach you should approach sourcing from?
Hopefully,
long
yeah.
term.
It's long term.
Long term.
Okay. And what does this data show you? That most of the suppliers you interact with, like China, I'm sure this is in other countries too, that they're not going to think like you. They're not going to think in a sustainable way. That's what the data is telling you. Right? They know they're under pressure. They know they're cost pressure, but less than half of them are thinking, maybe we need to think about how do we reduce waste in our own production. Maybe we need to think about having leaner operations. Maybe we need to think about, raw materials quality control so that bad raw materials don't get into an assembled product and becomes a reject. Right? This is a class. We have landed now. We have landed in the area of operations management now, okay? Right? Last week, we're in the space of macro factors, but now we're coming down. We're in the factory now. And the biggest challenge you're going to have dealing with a lot of these emerging economy suppliers is then their mindset. Number one, they may not know. They may not know how to respond to competition or cost control. All right. Or they may think, oh, let's just keep on coming up with a new product, or let's just change the volume. Because they may not know how to improve their quality. They may not know that they should be checking their raw materials quality. They don't know everything. Just because they're the factory doesn't mean they're expert in making things. Hello. All right. Class, you are buyers. I'm training you to be aware operationally. Okay. Even before you go to the factory, the problem you're going to run into it's the mindset of the supplier. It's what they're thinking about. Oh, how do they solve their problems? Is not how you solve problems that makes them sustainable. That's what this data is telling you. Okay. You know, you look at any page you like. All right. I've grouped them into 5. Just one last thing. If you want to just a little bit more, I've put that data into an article that I published. I share this in Moodle. That's the article here. All right. And we published that 2018, where we looked at their major challenge. Okay. Their major challenge, major characteristics. See, competition, sales growth. Can you all see that? Yes or no? Hello? All right. Yes. Sales growth, competition. Yes. No, I didn't want to show you this first. I wanted to show you the data. I wanted you to try and see what is that data telling you. Okay. Then we have a discussion, we have an interaction, but now I show you the article. Okay. So this is an article where we looked at, all right, let's get all that data. And this was from my China Supplier 1000 study. The major challenge, competition, sales growth, product development, human resources, is that related to their supplier strategic response? Is it strategic marketing, business re-engineering, or business restructuring? Which one of these was the management response? Can you remember? Is it, okay, 1, 2, or 3? Hands up for 1. Hands up for 2. Hands up for 3. Okay, 2 is the correct one. 2 is the correct one. All right. All right. Business re-engineering, operations. See, operations. Okay. Strategic marketing. That's just like product design, just trying to solve the problem by changing the packaging, changing the color of the product, but you're still making it inefficiently. You are still being unsustainable. Right? Your factory's going to die if you don't change operations. All right. And so in this article, and remember, I just want to show you that there's some theory behind this data I was showing you. We then examined it and did some, like there's the China Supplier 1000. There's your 1,075 suppliers, cost control, competition, sales growth. Wow. What did you do with that? And so then we look at, number one challenge. There's a number one challenge, but then look at business, their response to the challenge. If they respond to that challenge in terms of business re-engineering or operations, then we ask them, what percentage of you are automating or improving human resources, improving R&D, or improving efficiency? You see, only 54% of suppliers were responding to their challenge in the proper way. These two approaches are not necessarily sustainable. This is your sustainable response. And this is what they were doing. Wow. Okay, so I'll leave you to study the article. If you want to pursue this a little bit further in terms of your major project, you may look at a factory problem in terms of its biggest challenge and how they are responding to it, then you may use this article for that. So I just want to, okay, let's just round up what we covered tonight. And apologies for the mishap halfway through. Remember, I think this is in Moodle. I think, are we sharing it in Moodle? Ginny? Yes, it is, IMM 2018. If it's not there, I'll put it in. Just let me know in Google Hangout. Okay, so I just want to let you know that we analyze the data, we put a theoretical framework to it. Remember, this is one of the first theoretical frameworks you are seeing this semester, okay? And we're going to have another one next week called the 3-circle control framework. And there's a video that you need to watch before next week for that. So be aware of that, okay? All right, so let's just finish up. What did we cover tonight? Number one, we have made a huge transition from macro to micro. Now we're coming down to earth now. We're going into the factory. But tonight was just to interrupt your thinking that all factories are the same, all suppliers are the same, and that they all respond the same way to their pressures. They don't. They're all different. Just because they're all Chinese doesn't mean they're all the same. They respond the same way. Just because they're all Indian doesn't mean they're all the same way. Okay, you need to go one step further to get to know your supplier if you want to have a good relationship with them. And so one way of getting to know them is to start to think about, I wonder, I've got 3 suppliers I need to choose from. Which one of these would respond to cost pressure in terms of, oh, we need to improve our quality or we need to improve our operations? That's the supplier you want. That's the supplier you want. Because over time, in a lot of industries, the price that buyers are offering suppliers is not increasing. It's actually going down. Suppliers are always being squeezed. Okay, and the last thing you want as a manufacturer, and we're going to cover this in more detail next week. Remember, this is sourcing. This is not marketing, right? The number one thing that you need to start to realize now is that no factories are the same. No supplier is the same. And I think your biggest opportunity, and I want you to take this passionately this 5% assessment that you have to do, I want you to grab it and try and learn as much as you can in getting that quotation. Maybe you got quotations from 3 factories. Are they the same? Just because they all have TUV Rhineland certification, are they the same? Is your conversation with 3 different suppliers, are they the same? Is one giving you more information than the other one? Is the other one real or is it genuine? I want you to start thinking like this. There's no 2 suppliers are the same. Never. Never. And you, as a buyer, when you are sourcing, you need to be aware. Otherwise, you will lose in the end. You will get a good deal on the first time, but when you go back 3 months later, don't worry, it's happened to 1 or 2 of my clients. We're going to share that in week 6. You'll come back 3 months later, you ask for another order, suddenly they've put the price up by 25%. And you've promised your customers that you're going to fulfill by a certain lead time and you don't have time to go to another supplier and suddenly you're not making money. Too late. Okay, so there's a lot of sourcing is more than price, students. Hello. I want you to, I've thrown a lot at you tonight. It's a bit confusing. We're all over the place. All right. You'll start to come together over next week and the week after. So I want you to embrace this uncertainty. Okay. You got to absorb a lot. Okay. All right. First of all, this quotation you're going to get over the next week. Okay. Next week, please watch the videos before next week. Remember, generally by Friday, I'll set out an email to you. This is what you need to do before Tuesday. So you have a clear 1, 2, 3, what you need to do. And so I'll make it clear for you. But it's very operational. Okay. We talked about India tonight. Fine, a bit about China, but what we're going to do next week is actually much more operational than that. We're talking about negotiation next week, but it's even more detail. I'm going to show you factories, 2 factories, and you need to be very, very quick. Think about which one would you source from? And what questions would you ask in a negotiation? This is where we're going. This is not international marketing. This is sourcing. This is sourcing so you don't screw up as a procurement officer, so you don't screw up as the buyer. Are you with me here? Now, how is tonight to you? Okay, let's finish now. I want to end on energy because I want you to get excited about this. Okay, because there's a lot of things that loose ends I've left you with. All right. And those loose ends will start to make more sense next week and the week after and the week after, especially when you start to do some of the assignments where you have to compare 2 factories. Okay. So I'd like to talk to the groups that are up first to present in week 5. And if you can contact me by email, we'll have a quick Zoom session, maybe Friday afternoon if you've got time. And I can give you the links to the factory videos that you'll need to watch to do your case studies on. Okay. And for the several assignments, there are two factories, and you do a quick 12-minute presentation. Which one will you source from? You need to pick out, oh, I don't like this part. This is an example of a problem that we would have with this supplier or this supplier. I want you to see in your very own eyes the real problems that you're going to run into when you are sourcing. Are we good?
Yep.
How'd we go tonight? Do I get 7 out of 10? Okay, don't answer that. All right. So
It'll be nice and give an age.
yes, you can. All right, save it for the end. All right. Okay. Make me earn my rating. Okay. Don't give me a too high rating early on. Okay. So what we want to do now is the usual. Please go into the link in Moodle, and I want you to put in your big learning and #1 questions that you have after tonight. It's very, very important that you put some input. Can you do that for me now in the next 5 minutes, please? Do you all have that link in Moodle? You know where to go on the first page of Moodle? Yes? No?
Yes.
Okay, all good. All right. Remember, what we're trying to do is I'm putting videos in Moodle that cover the PowerPoint slides. And then when we meet on Tuesday night, we try and make it a little bit more interactive, more exciting for you. Okay, we're going to dial up the energy. It's going to get more exciting next week and the week after. You'll be jumping out of your seat. And I can't wait to see what you come up with your PPE request for quotation. Okay.
So I'm actually still confused about that assignment. So we actually asking the supplier to give us the quotation. So they will give us like a form of that, or how?
Maybe not. You need to first of all you need to make connection. Okay. Second of all, you need to confirm that they're willing to meet your quotation. You know, willing to supply you.
Okay.
All right. right? And then you need to get a list of, okay, on what terms are they going to supply you? They may ask what your terms are, or you may have to ask what their minimum terms are. And for your maximum learning, I would ask that maybe you need to go through that with 3 suppliers, so you get a bit of sense of, well, after you've gone through that process, there is one out of that 3 that I could, with trust, source from. Okay, but in that process, you're going to learn to ask them. You might need to just double check. Okay, what is PPE? What is a mask? What does a mask? What type of mask am I asking for? The supplier may ask you. All right, maybe you're asking for a basic mask, not a KN95, not an N95. Most of these suppliers cannot even meet that standard. So just be careful. If it's a lower standard, then you need to have a conversation with them. Oh, what exactly type of mask are you sourcing? Oh, can you give me evidence that that is the quality, you know?
So like
For submission, we only submit one.
You only have to submit. You only have to submit one. That's fine.
No, and then after we interact with with the supplier, and then we got all the information, and we sure that we have this supplier. So we are asking the quotation to that supplier, or I mean, like I don't know, like how to put all the information from the, what's it called, from the interaction, or it's like I don't even know like the format.
Okay.
Yeah, what's the structure for the RFQ? I think that's what everyone's a bit dissing about.
Okay.
It's like, do we make
there's
a
if I give you a specific form with all the questions you have to answer, then you all do it, but you won't learn anything. Okay. All right. I showed you where's my,
But the general idea is to follow those 10 steps for the RFQ that you give, or?
Yes, let me just, here we go. I suggest have a look at step 6, the formal RFQ. Okay, step 6, that's all. All right, so step 6, here's are the standard items on RFQ sheet. All right, so there's lead time, there is the currency. Is it US dollar? Is it renminbi? Is it yuan? All right. There's no correct answer, but you need to know, you need to be aware of the currency, the lead time. Let's have a look. Here's the summary is basically here. I showed you here, and it's in the PDF here. Step 6, supplier name, the date of the quote, the validity time of the quote, nearest port, payment terms, MOQ, price breaks, lead time, setup costs, sample lead time, maybe not the setup costs or sample costs. Maybe not the sample, because you're not asking for a sample. All right. Warranty terms, bank account, currency. So that's basically the area, that's the things you need to ask questions about. Agya, does that help?
Yeah, and after we have this information, do we put it inside as a report, or how do we present this information to you?
Well, you just put it in list form here.
Oh, okay.
You just put it in list, just like a list.
Okay, so it's okay. So we find out and then we present it.
Yeah, this is not an essay. This is not an essay. All right, it's just a list of things with facts. That's it. All you're doing is getting facts. That's all. It's black or white. What is the supplier name? Data quote. Time validity. FOB. Nearest point. payment terms, MOQ. All right. So the only thing you probably don't need to worry about is setup cost, sample lead time, and warranty terms. Okay. Bank account, currency of probably bank account. That's if you're getting serious, but currency of payment is probably important. All right.
Okay.
You need to be clear. Is it in ringgit? Is it in US dollar? Is it in yuan? Remember, you may not be going to a Chinese supplier. Maybe you got a Malaysian supplier. That's fine. I don't care. But the process, you going through that process of asking for this will be a tremendous learning opportunity for you.
Right.
Don't worry. I'm not going to use your quote to find out because I want to source it and then you're doing the work for me. I'm not interested in that, okay? But what I want to do next week is we'll have a Google Sheet and I will list this out in, we could put these in a Google Sheet if you want, but next week we'll have 6 or 8 rows for these items and you can paste them into a Google Sheet and then we can all compare what we've all done. Okay. Just to show you that, wow, every supplier is different. It's crazy. There's no 2 suppliers are the same. All right. So, but your learning process of going through this, remember, my job is not to fail you. All right. My job is to encourage you, learn a bit about what a face mask is first, just to make sure you're aware of that. Like Google face mask material. So then you can ask the supplier about melt blown. Okay. Just, it takes half an hour to learn that. All right. So just so you can have an intelligent conversation with the supplier. Any more? Does that help, sir?
Yeah. Understood.
Yeah. Just the items in step 6 away from it. Don't worry about setup cost, sample or sample lead time. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions?
Sir, I have a question.
Yes.
So if we're contacting the supplier and then asking for information and in return they ask us for a business card or like like the company details, where we are from, do you recommend us to bluff or make something up or something? Because we're just students. I mean, some of us are just students, right?
Correct. No, you can say you're a student. And
okay. What if we get no response, sir? Because
yeah, because they're not willing to entertain.
Yeah, I think a lot of the Malaysian suppliers that I was looking at, it's a required question for company name.
Correct. No, if you go to Alibaba, you won't have that challenge.
Okay, thank you, sir.
And you can say you're a student, you're sourcing for a client in Malaysia, which is me.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, sir.
So
I think you can also say you are a student doing part-time, earning some allowance, and you are sourcing for restaurants and you are sourcing for like schools or something.
Exactly.
I
tell you what,
pretend you are someone who is really want to source. Yeah.
Well, actually, you don't have to pretend that much. This is a reality. There are literally just hundreds of thousands of buyers around the world tonight just communicating with factories in China for face masks. This is going to be the biggest industry for the next 5 years. This is not just for the next 12 months.
If I have the money, I would have buy it for real.
I know. Absolutely. I know. But just, okay, so look, I could have made it easy. Last year, the class were asked to source a USB drive, okay? So, but I think that would be boring, okay? I think face masks, it's more interesting. I think you're going to learn something and something about what's really happening today.
Oh, also, it's just face mask, right? So you don't have to ask about other.
No, you don't have to. Just face masks is fine.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hi, Dr. Neil. I have a question.
Sure. Please, but please do enter in questions you have in the feedback session associated with what we covered tonight. I'm happy to continue the conversation here. Yep. What's your question?
Yep. Eileen actually mentioned it on chat as well. She says, any limit on the number of pages for this assignment?
Yes, there is a limit. Yeah. No,
2, right?
yeah, just one page where you list out 8 facts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and just one page where you can copy and paste some evidence
So
of
like
the supplier.
certificates and factory pictures.
Yeah, correct.
All right.
Yeah,
Okay,
just something that you think, okay, this is what tells me that it's the real factory.
Okay.
But I'm supposed usually supplier, when they give quotations, they will actually probably put in most of the items that we needed, right? But,
yeah, they might, but you need to.
Yeah.
Well, let's. It doesn't always happen.
Okay, so basically the first page will be the quotation, the formal quotations that given by the supplier, and then behind it will attach the evidence of the factory. All right, got it. Thank you.
I think all of you are going to do well. It's not my job to penalize you. Approach this as a learning experience. Last year, the students had to do it, but they didn't get any marks. So I think it's good that we have 5% for this. What do you think? Is that a good idea? Yeah. I think this is great. Some people have made lots of money buying and selling masks in the last 3 months. It's crazy. Okay, let's have a look at your student feedback. Is everyone, let me just have a look. Okay, most of you entered in for tonight, or just some of you. Can you just, if there's any questions, outstanding questions you have on your mind or the big ideas, please please do enter in. Remember, I read these because we want to try and keep the interaction. This is probably more important now that we don't see each other in the class, so then I can come back and answer anything. Remember, I'm here on email and in the chat room, always happy to help, okay? Love to hear from you. And the 2 groups that are presenting in week 5, okay? Let's have a look. We have group 1, next group, and we have group 3, or G3. I call it G3. You put a name to it if you like. Okay. So we have next and G3. If you can contact me, I suggest we have a Zoom meeting. Okay, a Zoom meeting. I'll put it in the chat room. Okay, so we have a Zoom meeting just for half an hour Friday afternoon. I'll tell you what we're going to do. Okay, is that helpful? Okay, then I'll tell you how approach it. Basically, all the videos in Google Drive, so I'll share the drive with you. That means you have access to all the videos, and then you analyze the factories from there. Okay. Okay. How are we going, everyone? Do you all sleep? It's only 10:30 here in Hong Kong. It's not very late. By the way, there's typhoon number 1. Typhoon number 8, I think, has been hoisted. So we've got typhoon coming through tonight. So it should be a fun night. All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a lovely evening.
Thank you.
Yeah. Happy to help. And let's get the energy. Next week, even more energy. Let's turn it on. We have lots of fun. If you still have remaining questions about your quotes and requests for quotation, just post it in the chat room. I'll help you out. So don't worry. Okay.
Right.
Good luck.
Okay, thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
sir.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Hi, Ginny.